Actually, I just saw in the comments, Shay, who I know, Shay, that the $1,000 minimum revenue is no longer required. So I would just say, get with your FSA office, Farm Service Agency office, find out what the minimum requirement is, and go get your number. You just have to have proof of wherever you're growing that you have control over it. For me, I grow on my land, but I also grow on my cousin's land, and I have leases on the land that I don't own. So I had to kind of provide some documentation that I had legal right to grow. You know, for me, it was my deed, and then obviously the contracts for others. And believe it or not, because I am around my cousins and everyone, and we have, probably about 1,500 acres among us, I've been making sure that all my family members have farm numbers, because at some point I'll be looking to expand this operation onto their land, and move it into partnership where basically I'm paying them to farm on their land and they're going to be sharing in the profits. So getting them up early, because I do write a lot of grants. I spend, and especially now, I spend a lot of time writing grants. But I will say this, and this is what's important, y'all. Don't, if this might be the last thing I say. When I started, with ChatGPT, now not any personal, I never put my personal, like not my credit information, not my social security, not my EIN numbers, none of that stuff. And that's public, my EINs, but not my social security, nothing like that, not my bank account stuff. I don't put any of that in ChatGPT. But what I do is I do my creative thinking there. And so I put my consulting firm first, because that's how I started. I buy and sell companies for others, or I did, and I raise money and all that stuff for others. And I've had that company for 21 years, and that it was the catalyst to me being able to afford to buy the things that I have for my farm. So I kind of self-invested, and I'm 100% debt free. So all the things I have, I own, which is amazing, because as I'm now moving into larger projects that may have to change. But what I am saying is this: if you create your persona. So I talked about who I was, why I was on the land, who my ancestors were, a little bit about my history, and I went out and pulled, because this is kind of a document thing in my history. We have a book. If you Wikipedia, my great grandfather, he'll come up under Wikipedia. All that stuff has been developed. ABC did a special Soul of a Nation, the Alabama Black Magrooters. So while all those things were being developed, I incorporated them into my chat GPT. So it helped me create my brand. It helped me kind of think through my mission, think about what I'm about, what I'm doing. So when I started working on my farm, I then said, okay, I want to be certified organic. And I just recently said, well, what does that mean beyond growing food? Well, what that meant was, instead of my land being worth $5,000 an acre, it's worth $12,000 to $14,000 an acre, because it's organic. I put 57 acres in a wetlands easement. So instead of that land being worth 5,000 acres, it now has conservation attached to it. So I have access to government money if I want to help me to manage that, and to put agritourism, where I can allow folks to go out on boardwalks and walk through nature, and see the birds. We have 54 species of birds that migrate in our residential migratory in that area. Building out this, I have something called Black Warrior Nature Reserve and Resort. The money needed to build out the tiny houses, all that is money that didn't have to necessarily come from me. It's going to be a combination of investors, grant, loan, and some other instruments that I found out about by just being inquisitive. And what I'm saying to you is this: you have to inquire and start looking into the things that are being told to you through the results. And you're going to eventually run into people who either have done it or can help you with it. And you have to be willing to do that kind of work. Because there's resources for just about everything. And people say that, but it's really true. But it's not necessarily at our fingertips. So whenever I have grants, I typically try to share those grants with others, because what's for you is for you, what's for me is for me. And so I don't consider anybody on this earth my competition, because what's for me is for me. And when we start moving like that, and sharing and collaborating, we're going to get a lot further down the road together than we are trying to hoard my idea. I've seen so many people die with their ideas because they didn't want to share it with anybody. They didn't want anyone to help them, and it never saw the light of day. That's not this generation, and that's not what I want to see for you or myself or my descendants. So we just kind of have to think a little differently, but it's all ours for the taking. And I'll land on that.
Black Warrior, it's an honor for me to be in your presence and to hear you give us this teachable moment in time. I'm always taking notes. I'm always, fully attentive whenever you're speaking. I think this is great information, but also very insightful information for a lane that a lot of people are partaking in, and for those who are preparing themselves to become a part of this industry in various different, ways, whether it's through agriculture, dealing with produce, or even to the degree of the tiny home communities. I've heard quite a few conversations over the past few months from different individuals about creating their own tiny home community where they would grow their own produce. Some have talked about medical marijuana and hemp as well. So to be in the presence of someone who's actually doing this in real time and not keeping it for herself, but actually, spreading the information as well as doing business with others to bring them into the same great opportunities that you have found yourself, I think that is very honorable and I admire you for that. And I really thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Well, I want to say thank you for one, the invitation. I just can't underscore it. I've said it, but I'll say again that you would even consider me and invite me and always make me feel welcome in your rooms and in the spaces. And I love young people. Sometimes I just sit back and I shake my head, but I do that with my daughter too. But I keep y'all in prayer. And more importantly, the little bit that I have left to do that may seem like a lot, but compared to what you have the ability to do as young folks collectively and individually is going to be world changing. And I'm just here to support, to mentor, and to pass the torch, as many of us are. So our role is to put the framework in place. And I think of this. People are like, my family didn't have land to leave to me. I didn't get an inheritance. Yes, you did. Because for every seed you put in the ground, it's your ancestors who, and the Creator, and the Holy Spirit. I just don't leave anything out because I've experienced a little bit of all of it that make up who you are, and you are a gift to the world, and what you do with your hands and the way you use your mind, and most importantly, like you mentioned, Glock, the way we use our words. I don't know when I stopped, and my daughter's in the same way, and she used to be sort of negative. I used to call her like negative Betty or something. She always had something negative to say about life, and it's too hard, and I don't want to be an adult, and adulting, and and all of that. And I just tried to walk before her. And I don't think I recall in a very, very long time ever having negative words come out of my mouth, speaking over myself or anyone else. I always try to find a way to say yes. I always try to find how to make lemonade out of lemons. And it's funny because it's contagious. And the people around me are doing the same thing. And guess what? The results are manifesting. And so I will say this because I would be less than who I am to say all of this is fine and all the money in the world and all that, which belongs to all of us, and I'm going to get my share. No, God knows I am, and I'm on my way, and those around me are on their way. I don't really care about any of that. What I do for my Creator, for God, is what's going to last. My name, my legacy, who I am, my word, my character, my walk, that is more important than all the money. But guess what I found out? When I turn it over to God and I ask for what I'm looking for, or what's coming to me, it manifests and it has a great harvest. So let's put things in the right perspective because you can gain the world and lose your soul. I refuse to lose my soul by running after the world. Now that I found my peace, there's no money. I don't care if I live back here in the middle of the woods by myself. I'm set up for that too. Go off grid if I need to. But while this game is to be played, I'm playing, I'm running hard, and I know y'all will run even harder. So I just want to say thank you. I love y'all. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on these Clubhouse streets.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on, let me hit the horns for that. I'm gonna close us out with the song that I played at the beginning of this Urban Echoes segment. Also, Team Dream or Alexis, Toxic, someone. Could y'all go ahead and start another room for a team meeting briefly? And Black Warrior, as soon as we get done with that, I'm gonna give you a call and speak with you, and just basically tell you thank you for pulling up again. We appreciate you being here. Very joyful to hear your voice. Very joyful to be a part of this conversation. And I'm going to close this room out. To the audience members, thank y'all for pulling up. Make sure y'all scrolled up to the top and join Thinking Out Loud, so you can turn that pink ticket in and get the notification, not only for conversations like this within Urban Echoes, but also the other rooms that we have throughout the week. And it's a pleasure being here. So